Testing, testing. Let's see what it says here. We're telling your followers that you've started a live video. Good. Now I can't seem to get away. There we go. Hello, people. Greetings on this fine Sunday. I'm waving at you and looking at all the people. I'm sitting far back from my screen, so you'll see me go in and out. Greetings, everyone. I'm Bloody Mary in New Orleans. We're waiting for our guest today, who is Patti Negri. She also is known as the Good Witch, and she is going to be talking about a subject that both of us have had experience with, and something that's very timely right now. The mainstream, much of the mainstream, which we're not, much of the mainstream has had their first bout with the concept of incubus, succubus, spirit spouses, sex with invisibles, with ghosts, because of a recent tweet that went wild, let's say. And there was a preacher who had a lot to say about all of these things, incubus, succubus, but matching them with gynecological issues, which is not something that generally most people would consider. However, there has been talk, knowledge, and warnings about demon sex, sex after death, all these types of things for millennia. So, we will be talking on that subject. Some could be ghosts, some could be demons, some could be sent, some could find your way. This whole idea, in my opinion, is totally separate from spirit spouses. There are many religious traditions that you may be married to a particular god, goddess, Loa, Orisha, whatever the case may be. And even in the mainstream religions, that goes on because many of the nuns are married to Jesus. So, the spirit spouse concept and the spirit sex concept, according to me, are two different things. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Our guest is not even here yet. It is 3:28 and not 3:30. We are live. I am Bloody Mary in New Orleans, Voodoo Queen in New Orleans. I'm an author. I am a ghost hunter. I'm a TV celebrity, a psychic medium, and a mom, as well as many other things. And I'm here inside the box, New Orleans, inside my private temple, my voodoo house. We have our guest coming from Los Angeles, the Hollywood medium. We have Patti Negri. And the demon lover concept has been something that she's done talks, video, YouTubes about in the past. So we're going to talk to you about that. But many people have only first heard about this type of thing recently when a woman was talking about how a lot of problems in relationships stem from these otherworldly sexual relationships. That's not something I necessarily believe. But is there sex after death? Are there demon lovers? Have you had one? I usually say it's not safe sex. Someone asked me once, does that mean you could catch a disease? And I would say no. But it can drain your energy and it could do a lot of other things, take your vital energy. However, this woman says it could give you gynecological problems, fake pregnancies, and all sorts of things that were never really thought of before. The church had always said things about maybe being careful not to invite demons into your bed. And I guess I heard about that when I was rather young, but I didn't know what it was when it came knocking on my door. So we have some people that are waiting, and we have some people we're waiting for our main guest now. In the meantime, I just want to bring up that I'm Bloody Mary in New Orleans, and I have the Haunted Museum here, Bloody Mary's Tours Company. I have a book called Haunting, Horrors, and Dancing with the Dead. I do voodoo classes these days on Eventbrite, Zoom Live, and I'm now starting my seances on Thursdays at 8:30 on Zoom as well. You can go to bloodymaryneworleans.eventbrite.com for the virtual events, or bloodymaryneworleans.com for all my other events when you are here in town, and I'll take you around. We do ghost hunts, we have equipment, we do voodoo paranormal. I do lovely voodoo weddings and blessings and doll classes and all that jazz. We do them in person or now virtually live on Zoom. We also have bundles of classes. I'm just talking until Patti gets here. I hope she's going to get here soon. It is 3:31. I have not seen her try to get in yet, but everybody seems to have quietened down. We've got 14, 15 people now and counting as it's clicking up, and we're waiting for Patti. Anybody got any questions in the meantime? I hope everybody's healthy and that you're ready to start back living again and not too locked away. Take a lot of vitamin C. Do your spiritual cleansings too. All those things will help you. I'm seeing new numbers come up at the top, but I'm not seeing, maybe this is it, any of the comments. So if any of you have a comment, please, or question, something you want to share, go ahead and use the chat function and I'll do my best to read it. In the meantime, I'm here in New Orleans and we are waiting on our guest, Patti Negri. Let's see if there's somebody hiding in there that I'm supposed to see. Requests. Okay. We're waiting for Patti Negri. I just went and made a request. So she's connecting.
Ah!
Yay, there you are.
I've been here the whole time. I kept I'm here. I maybe it just didn't register on your thing. I requested
thing that you have to push, but then I found another one to invite myself, so I did that. Cool. Good.
Hi.
Wave to these other people. Okay, good. I'm glad we're all here. The Blondes unite again. From coast to coast, we will do our own version of From Coast to Coast, because that show doesn't really like to talk about girl things, you know?
I know.
The Incubus and Succubus are necessarily limited to just women, but most of the encounters that I speak to other people about have been with women.
Yeah.
A lot of the men seem to want a demon lover. They think it's really cool, but they're not the one that get woken up in the middle of the night at a young age. What was the age that you first met something that went bump in the night that wasn't from the fleshy form?
Well, me, I actually, in this exact thing, haven't had it, but I have worked with so many people for so long, I feel like I have. Like I said, I've done the TV thing with it. I have not had what I call ghost sex.
Wow.
I love that we are talking about, and I know, isn't that great? I guess I'm just so satisfied in my human life.
Well, I had it long before I knew what it was. Long before I was a virgin. I had no sex. I had nothing to compare it to. I didn't know. It was very young when they start knocking at my door, you know?
Yeah, I know, and they do. And I love that we're talking about this because, again, I think it has been around forever. And people, we are in such a prudish world and country more than anything else. I mean, it's weird enough to talk about ghosts or spirits or demons, and it's weird enough to talk about sex, even anything. Combine the two, it's such a forbidden thing. And like you said, it is such a common thing, and it's been around forever in every belief system, in every religion. Yeah. Like you said, that the demon human or the ghostly human or the angel human, that it
and of course the original word of demon incorporated all those things. Incorporated ghosts, fairies, angels, demons that we think of classic as the DAEMON was everything that wasn't our God. You know,
yes, it wasn't that.
The day. So many of those things mixing with a mere mortal. But the Catholic Church, for ages, would talk about, you know, why masturbation was bad was because, well, the reason that it was bad was that the demons were thought to be able to collect the energy of the unused semen to procreate the demon race. Therefore, they would be able to make more. And this was the whole concept behind why you shouldn't do these things, not just for whatever reasons you may think, but because, and as much as we would joke about that them saying that, there's actually a point to it. And it has to, you can kind of fix that up in sex magic, would be the fact that they wanted you to only have sex to procreate. Because the wasted seed can be used to create other things, which could be more demons, which could be something else, whatever the case may be. So take that back into your own arena as an adult, and you need to create something with the released energies. Doesn't have to be a baby. You
Exactly.
dedicate the orgasmic energy to creating something, to fixing something, to stopping COVID, whatever, before it occurs. So it's not a wasted seed. You keep it contained within your sex form. And then these other, let's say, people around that are like vultures waiting for the extra seed, they don't get it. They can't
Right.
have it.
Yeah. You focus it like you drop money on the street, or you know where it's going. You're donating it to so and so.
Yeah, I mean, you're
And
not just wasting it. You're creating something else with it. And that helps cut down on the knocking of the door of demon lovers. I had
right.
to give
And
a much different description to my son when he's got to that age than most mothers do to their son, teaching him how to
right. That's
hold
funny.
and
It's like,
contain the energy within and not just do things indiscriminately.
without. Yes, and I don't always, by any means, because of the connotations it has, use the word demon or
Right.
use the word incubus or succubus. You know, Ghostly Lovers was the film that I did for Travel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they play it anymore. They played it once and went, oh God, what are we doing? But you could find it online somewhere, and because there was a positive side. Again, I agree with you. It's not safe sex, because talk about geographically undesirable relationships. They're not going to get you holiday presents. You can't take them home to mom.
Right.
But I do think it has its place sometimes. Besides in the magical workings, in my experience working with people, I've had the deceased husband, wife, lover come back as final goodbyes, and it's been the sweetest, most touching thing.
Oh.
I've also had it as a positive experience for people, mostly women, almost exclusively women, who've maybe lost their own sense of sensuality or sexuality along the way, and they're almost afraid of another human doing it. This can come in and just bring you into this moment of like, oh, this is like, oh, I'm waking something up inside. I'm waking something up, you know, and then you could progress to somebody in the corporal body.
Right.
But again, I work against long term because, like you said, it can drag your energy. It can do all sorts of things. This new stuff going on about
it's almost no different than a relationship online these days, though, right? You know,
exactly almost the same. It's like COVID hugs. What? It's just.
But there are ways for you as a human to visit your long distance lover in your spirit form for a sense of satisfaction as well. You know,
Yes.
so there's all kinds of, so that would be called, you know, there's a living ghosts, living spirits that can come out of you, you know, in your astral travels. But there were negative ones. The ones like you saw the movie Succubus. Was it Incubus or Succubus? What was that?
Yes, probably.
Barbara Hershey was being raped.
Probably.
They put her in a big
Yeah.
they had cameras all around and blah 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 blah. But yeah, a lot of it did seem like it was rape. Now, when I had a lot of my encounters, I was very young, and I didn't get along with my younger teenage sister very well at the time. So we didn't really compare stories till later, you know, when we were older. But there was quite a few at my door. Let's put it that way, you know. And I learned very early to set boundaries, to go, come, you know, get out. They weren't going to hurt me. But at the same time, this was happening with me. She was getting like bruised and bitten and hurt, you know. So hers was more of an aggressive attack. Mine was not.
Yeah, it's all about boundaries, and people don't know that. They give in to it. They don't take control, either with fear or anger, which isn't going to help at all. You just have to have your boundaries. No, not go away. This, but not this.
I got to get up and go away. I got to get up in the morning.
Exactly.
I need some sleep, whatever the case may be. And in later years, I haven't allowed that at all, but it doesn't mean it hasn't come by every once in a while. I'll just roll it in and go away. You know, I can just snap my fingers and get rid of it, but there have been many people that jumped in my bed that were not my husband, that were not of the flesh. And, you know, I think it was, and I'd roll over and go, oh, no, that's not you, is it? Okay, see you later.
Hi, okay, well, it was fun.
In my elder years, they still might come call, but not as much as when I was at like 13, 14.
Right, well, when you're discovering your sexuality, your sensuality, yes, of course.
Yeah, and it wasn't because I knew what an orgasm was or felt like. In fact, the ones that I had then, it took many years to equal, let's say.
Yes,
There were
because
no
I have
there
not
were no
experienced it.
hands. There were no hands. There was no touching of myself. That was not a part of my young
Yeah,
adolescence.
but isn't it again? I'm so weird that I haven't experienced it, and I work with so many people, and I've this expert that talks about it all over the world. But I hear it's really great because you don't have the limitation of that fleshly body of the stuff. So,
Well, I
as
mean,
far as
it can feel
it
exactly
can
the
be,
same, but the orgasm can be more full body.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Without
but interesting. Speaking of something totally different at the same time, um, let's say when you're having experience of a spirit trance dance possession in a, let's say, a voodoo ritual or something, where it's definitely not sex, but
right,
when the spirit comes into you or after, it's such a sensual thing. Sensual, not as in sex, but that the same all full body tingling occurs. So everyone always makes fun of, is it Saint Teresa ecstasy? The ecstasy of Saint Teresa, and she's describing all this, and everybody's laughing. Oh, she's describing an orgasm. But I said, well, actually, that is the way when spirit comes through that it can feel as well. So there's a difference between sexual and sensual that people forget.
yes,
But the reason I'm even bringing this up today is not to spill beans on some problems or some confusions of an adolescent child or people who are trying to find lovers without, having a fleshy one to deal with. It's because of, the tweets that the president made that talked about the woman who's carrying on about spirit spouses and carrying on about incubus and demons. Now, she thinks that most relationship problems have to do with the fact of a demon lover getting in the middle. I have never found that in any of the workings that I've done with people in relationship issues. It's usually one of the spouses cheating. It's not because
I've never.
Don't blame a demon and don't blame a ghost. It's that.
It's the human. It's the human. Yeah, I've never experienced that either. That is the weirdest shit I've ever heard, really.
Also was responsible for many kinds of gynecological issues, fake pregnancy. Did you read stuff that she wrote?
Yeah, I read some of it. I haven't got, but yes, because I knew we were doing this right. But that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Again, because it still goes back to all that fear and control base, just like what happened with the church, with Christianity. I just can't buy into any cosmology belief systems that's fear-based or control-based, or yeah.
You mean
But that's crazy.
You mean like the government and the news,
yeah,
and the weather,
fear
and all that,
especially in our current situation.
Fear-based, because it works. Yeah, well, she brought that out to the public eye, which I found fascinating. That's why they should be a timely subject. The fact that people,
and it is because
worried.
Again, it's never talked about
Physical issues on that, because it's a small percentage of people that have this. It's not a very large thing for it to be the reason for all your gynecological and romantic issues. It's not a demon lover,
No, I think it's zero gynecological and what causes that.
Hand, there's an aspect in the healing that I do Qigong and a variety of other things for healing and energy work as well. There is a physical manifestation that can occur from all the built up hatred or magical attacks or things. When we hold energies in certain areas of our body for past problems, that can manifest itself in some form of physical trauma later.
Yeah, so, honestly, on that, going to the next level of that, I just heard a girl just wrote an article. I don't think she's even published it yet, but I'm going to spill the beans. What she thought was a spirit lover for so long, and the amazing orgasms and the sensations, it turned out to be a fungus. How that works, I don't know.
And to me, there was one fungus that they said gave increased sexual appetite and desire.
So
funguses
again,
are alive, aren't they?
They are alive, and they are alive. And she said she went on for years, and then she found out that her demon love is with them. So there is certainly physical things that could cause sensations, but I don't think.
I meant the other way around, but yeah,
I know. I don't think that spirit lover, demon, whoever is going to cause.
Yeah.
What's going on with this world?
Well, I mean, a fungus among her, they say. But getting to another subject that she lumps together, which I do not believe are the same, was spirit spouses. Now, most Catholic nuns marry Jesus. You know, everybody has, every religion. My friend has a fairy lover that he's had for years and years and years. Fairy wife, he calls her.
Yes.
And in voodoo, many times the loas or the intermediaries can ask you to marry them. And many people have a regular marriage ceremony, which I've done before, between the couple so they could get closer to their loa, which is usually cheaper than deep initiation. And it's a form of initiation. All forms of initiation are a form of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You usually have some form of patron saint, grandmaster. I don't know about in Wiccan if they probably do. There's
a court to become initiated. Not all this Wicca versus ceremonial versus polemic versus everybody has their own, but you have your protocol, yeah.
And the initiation is a form of a marriage, is a form.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's an accepting and
a birthing.
Yes.
And a birthing, but you know, that's not the same officially, maybe, as demon lover or spirit lover. However, Urzuli, the goddess of love in, if you don't like the word goddess, but the spirit of love, the mystery, she is known to, you know, claim men on a particular night. What does that say? Was an incubus joke?
We must have missed the joke. It must be school back.
Damn joke.
Sorry, it's multitasking.
Say it again. What is the joke? So yeah, Incubus and Succubus have been around forever. They were thought to collect all the sperm, and then that goes back to our lovely lady Lilith. You know, the beginning.
The original.
She would come back for all these things, and you'd have to sing the lullaby to get Lilith abide, not to take your baby, and but so there's the lovers, and then there's the demon offspring that are the result. Now, the concept of this idea on something else you mentioned about the woman who lost her husband, or women that have lost their husband and have the beautiful goodbye. Oh, yeah. Whatever. That was including sex.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I always call it clever rapes of the 18th or 17th century. So
what's your take on that?
Well, the vampire studies a long time ago had said that there were these procreations that would result in dampirs, a vampire, which were half human and half vampire, which at that point was thought to be an ethereal form, not a physical form. And they would have these women who had lost their husbands and then get pregnant, so therefore their offspring would be considered this. However, you know, they believed that you were never allowed to deny your spouse sex, even after death. You could never say no in the old time religion.
Really?
So there was these unscrupulous men who put themselves in shrouds to go pay visits to all of the widows in the area and have sex with them and then have babies with them. And of course, maybe to hide the fact that they had a lover and it wasn't their husband. But yeah, this whole thing of being with your husband forever and all that really, really was something that people were worried about, and they had offspring. But as far as it would be nice, I suppose, if you really miss someone, to have that one last stand with them. Of course, you see the first part, what in the movie Ghost, the beautiful kiss.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that's one level. But then again, the trappings of the human mind, the thing that the human mind can do and create, including full orgasm without using your hands. I just thought it was interesting that I was like, 12, 13, 14. I didn't even know what an orgasm was.
But it felt good.
I didn't put past lives into it at that point. But I'm sure somewhere I must have known what one was.
Yeah.
So I really thought that you had a lot of experiences with it. Now I know a lot of psychics, a lot of mystical people who have. In fact, it was some of those experiences that made me get off my ass and go research like crazy on spirits and ghosts and what this was and who this was, and try to figure it out. So I can thank them for making me go study, but I've always had firsthand experience and teaching direct from ghosts or whatever it was. And then, of course, stupidly going to the Catholic Church to talk about it wasn't a good thing at the time.
Yeah.
That caused some trouble. But, you know, I didn't know what the hell was going on and why, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I get that. And again, I don't get, again, it's just weird. I've been talking and communicating with spirits since I was a little kid too. That's just been part of my life. It's just never gone there. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm unattractive in the spirit world or the demon world or
No.
but, but, but what it is, it's just so funny that people who think that that can't be there for spirit, or even in that way, the ex-lover or husband, wife, whatever comes, is like, if you believe in ghosts, you have to believe in ghosts or spirits or demons or whatever. Not that you have to believe in them, but if you do believe in it, why would you believe that your ex, the love of your life, could come and hold your hand, or grandma could stand at the end of your bed and tell you who's going to die the next day? But sex, which is such an integral, important part of our life, that's all of a sudden off the table.
Well, I mean, you know, there's always that talk about the experience in a place that used to be our house. And I have a lot of, just like you, we do a lot of TV shows, we do a lot of talks, we do a lot of public appearances. And I always find it funny that at the end, there's usually someone quiet, and they, you know, they come up to me after because they're afraid to talk, you know, in general. And they'll say, you know, me and my husband, we moved into an old Victorian, and we found out later it was a brothel. And I'll go, okay. And I have the same question, whether it's a 15-year-old or a 80-year-old. It's like, has your sex life improved? And they, some of them have to step back and think about it because they hadn't put it together. Like, yeah, or at least changed. It's like one is an energy and one is maybe a helping hand. I don't know. But you know, put that in there, claim that energy when you move in, when you find that out, somebody else might grab it.
Yeah, definitely. And I like what you said about the energy before, and containing the energy, whatever you're doing and whatever you're doing it with, how important that is versus.
Right. Even when you're alone, if you're alone, especially when you're alone, because that's more when these things will be coming after you. And some of them do just go around and grab energy and things like that. There's a lot of wasted sexual energy everywhere. And that can be used for a good purpose. You use your own. You know, but for healing, I don't know if you want to contain it, put it in something, but dedicate it. Dedicate everything you do to something. You know, put yourself in a bubble, if you will, of energy. That way nothing else can come in and interfere. And you definitely, that is the joint effort, especially, is a great energy. And you can use that for sure. And you should always not waste it.
Yes, I agree
Don't
wholeheartedly.
have a baby. But I help people, you know, I do a lot of people call about fertility issues. So you can share, if you're not using it for a baby, you can, you know, maybe empower something with it, or send it to someone who does need it, who's really trying to have a child and is having trouble. There's a lot of people with fertility issues, and you can donate it, so to speak, in a non-medical kind of way. I always, when people come to me with fertility issues, I always tell them to pray to the spirit who is waiting to be their child, that the spirit has already selected them, that they're right there, to start communicating with that spirit right away. And that would help open up the channels for it to actually ground into the physical world. So there's always a spirit element. You know, people forget that and they go right to the fertility drug. It's like, go try that first, you know? Right? They're there. That's the ancestor's not yet born. You know, they're there and they're already your family. You know?
I agree. See it, smell it, taste it. You have to mind, body, spirit connection. You get there and then it'll come in, because we're almost always our own worst blocks.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things out there, but that whole new fear about it being a reason.
Oh, it's terrible. Again,
it is always good to cleanse yourself energetically as well as physically. So yeah, to keep yourself clean and keep away from unclean entities that might be wanting to harm you. I won't say would give you a disease, but that can interfere with your aura and your field, which would leave you more vulnerable for attacks and problems. And, you know, you know, the more you have all these things. So there, on one level, there is this bit of correctness in there, which is much more of an esoteric thing, a vital energy drain thing, and you don't want to become a magnet for some entities that aren't there to that aren't helpful, that aren't healing.
Right.
You don't want a lot of that. So I do say it's not safe sex and just say no. It did not hurt me. You know, when I was a young child, I was confused by it, but it did set me off. I'd always had little spirit activity. And then I said, but it kind of changed when I was an adolescent. You know, I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay, now there's something else going on, you know?
Something else.
But adolescence is always when things change in there. Did you get
when
more
things change? I mean, our energy changes. I don't know. I on the spiritual level, I don't know what it is, but yeah, everything changes.
Right, physical and spiritual, yeah, and energy wise. So
Well,
I think those out
yeah,
there, they could tell. Oh, look, new one on the block.
yeah, and this new preacher fear stuff. The president. Again, just people learn to trust your not just even your common sense, but your intuition. If something feels really ridiculously wrong, it probably is. Just saying.
But you know, through every old research that you can find, there will be talk in the church that warns you of entities that are trying to come and, you know, take things from you, and you know, especially about the sex part. Many religions were very obsessed with sex, when you can have it, how you can have it, how many days you can have it. Now let's go to the other level. What about an enemy sending a demon at you? What about someone who wants you that you won't give into, that, you know, sends a demon or goes to the demon or sends their astral self to rape you? So
yeah, like another
that
human sent, like I haven't even worked with. It's like another human, like instead of sending you a curse, sends you like a demon icky. I haven't even experienced that. Have you?
Sure.
Because more people coming.
But I mean, I had someone not too long ago. I saw a feed of people trying to, you know, be jealous of me and say things. And by the way, I have all your names and numbers. Anyway, waiting for a case because so one little idiot was like, I'll send a demon at her. He's probably around 20. He's like, sweetie, you go ahead and do that. If I haven't dealt with a demon and a ghost and an entity from many other different dimensions in what I do by now, you know,
right. I'm scared.
And not all demons are bad anyway. They can be a little bit annoying sometimes, but so can ghosts, and so can your own family. You know, there's a lot of annoying things out there.
Right.
But no, people have sent things to attack you. Of course, they will send ghosts, and they can send ghosts, and they can send demons. Of course, some ghosts can just attack you on their own. Oh, yes, I have to help a lot of cases of people that have been sent to ghosts to attack them. Recently, in fact, having to do with kind of odd, I don't know, Mexican cartel drug dealing thing. It wasn't very pretty. You know, so they sent something. So I had to tell them how to, you know, stop that. Make it go away. You know, like you can feed them, you could do things to get them on your side. But people definitely can. You could say a curse, or they can send an entity, whether it's a ghost or a demon, to mess with you.
Yes.
You know?
And I do agree with you
wholeheartedly. So, you know.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yes, there are always things you could do. Always things you could do.
And you need to do regular spiritual cleansing as well as you do your physical cleansing. We tend to forget that, even if we're in the middle of the world. Things get carried away and you don't do it as often. And you need to change your protections around the house because they might get stale or old, and try some new ones. Don't just go run and get the sage. They need so many more than that. But there's a lot of people, especially if you're in the limelight or something, that they would send stuff to you.
Yeah.
And there's other things that just find you and that rub off on you too. You know?
Right, because we work with people every day into this realm of whatever, but I'm sure like your home, your shop, like my home is so dang warded. But yeah, you have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it up there.
Oh God, did I not do it as often as I should have during COVID because I wasn't there as much? Let me go redo it again. Let me try something different this time. Because you want to mix it up. You want to mix it up, you know? Love you too, guys. You want?
I know. We catch every few ones. Hi, Mary Rose.
But yeah, but people can send you things, and you know the job that I'm in and you're in, maybe me a little bit more because I'm like in the graveyard every day. You know. Like,
I think
that part.
I think they just figure you're more equipped, and you probably are to handle it. It's like I'll send it there.
They used to follow me a lot more when I started to switch over from doing this part-time to full-time. But opening, closing, letting them know that I'm coming back, that I'll be there again, that they're not forgotten, makes a lot less hitchhikers follow me home than used to. However, but it's still possible. And then clients that you work with as you're cleansing and taking things off of them, sometimes they leave a little bit behind, which is okay, because I still might want to converse with their spirits to help their healing. So that part's expected. And then there's things that are hanging around from what's happening around you too, and people you're with that you know, your friends. So they're everywhere, and not all of them want to have sex with you, but some of them certainly do.
Not all of them want to have sex with you. They are everywhere. And aren't you finding that everything is heightened because of this world situation? It's like we're sitting on a powder keg, so everything is heightened, and clients and
No, I almost feel the opposite. It just
really
so dead. Like the energies in this town, in the buildings, and the graveyard, quieter, like the people. It's quieter. Now, is that what you meant? Like the energies?
No, not exactly. I mean, like spirit activity. It's like, again, my home is really warded, and because of COVID, I'm not out there doing paranormal investigations and things like that, so I can't talk for that. But everything itself, situations, entity stuffs, everything is heightened. Everything, it's like this vibrational ray, or vibrational increase to it. So everything seems more important. More, I don't even, I mean, it is important, of course, but I don't know. It's like spotlight, because maybe just because everyone's so freaked out, everyone's on survival level, everyone's on fear level, because fear has so many negative results.
I don't know if everyone's on fear level here, but there's certainly a large portion of the country that is, which changes things. Fear is dangerous, but it's not to the level it was when I could feel it here when it was just Katrina and it was a small, tight area. That it was just so not, it was flatlined on one level, but looking over your, you know, it was just kind of like, what's coming? You know, I don't feel it as badly now here, but I feel our haunted place is a little less.
Yeah. Well, what you dealt with Katrina, what you guys dealt with Katrina, because that was so overwhelming. I mean, that took away homes, that took away, different than the COVID is a horrible thing, but it didn't knock your house down.
All of our ghosts away. It sucked them out to the side. We were flatlined. But that's
wild.
I'd slither in, and it was only the dark side. You need both of those sides to feel anything. When you felt one thing flat and this other thing coming, it was this very strange tear in a lot of the dimensions. I don't feel that tear as obviously this tough with what's going on now. Maybe because it's all over.
But I probably, it's not just centered right at you, at your beautiful city. Again, to me, it just feels powder keggy is the only word I could say, which affects spiritual realm, physical realm, human realm, elemental realm. All the realms are like,
feel that the fuse is,
like
that's kind of like waiting for something, because there's so much more. Even as a psychic, though, it's too hard to feel, to pinpoint. There's something else brewing besides Mother Nature trying to heal herself. And I have a friend that swears that it's a curse that China put on. Like, oh, I didn't think of that. You know, and then someone else that thinks this and that. I mean, there could be levels of truth in all of it. You know, Mother Nature certainly.
Truth is somewhere, usually somewhere in the middle somewhere.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things that are blinding us. There's political aspects to this. There's maybe monetary aspects with medical. I mean, there's so many levels. I just don't like any of them.
I don't either.
My spirits
I want to go out.
have been kind of quiet. The ones here, like sitting in the graveyards, talking in my own house. The Haunted Museum has its ups and downs. This weekend's been quiet. Last weekend was crazy. You know, so they have moods, and it has a lot to do with people that come in and their fears and their problems. Tell you they got a good laugh at our masks. For what the hell is everybody doing this for?
I, yeah, that is probably pretty funny, that like their
Mother
concept of
Nature
what?
deserves time to heal. Somebody said maybe, yes. But that's not all that's going on. It's just like anything. Everybody else jumped in to take advantage of that, you know?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
problem. And
So
so, yeah, we've been so quiet here for the last few months, but this last couple of weeks have shown some promise of life restarting again here, you know? So
good.
I'm happy, happy, happy about that. Um, there is a lot less party energy than this town is used to. And the city of the spirit of place is very used to being fed on that energy of outsiders coming, partying, screaming like fools. You know, they're used to that. So there's a
Yeah,
spirit of place, you know, and it's not fed. It's not used to. This is a port town. It's used to that ebb and flow. And, you know, so I think it depends on where you are, what you're feeling. You know, LA is not a port town, but they certainly come and go with people all the time over there, right? I'm stuck
yeah.
on this
No.
darn lava rock. Send us some lava rock. Uh, lava rock can be creative. So I guess somebody's in Hawaii, unless they're actually sitting on a lava rock. I don't know.
I know.
Each
I've
each
seen
to your own.
Mary Rose Bailey. She is actually in Hawaii.
Okay.
She is on a lava rock.
Now,
Oh,
Pele was pissed off for quite a while now. She's been going, you know, crazy over there. So she was a forerunner of warning of what was going on. I believe that Brie Laveau was warning and warning and warning, and actually part of stirring some pot here. But she seems to have stepped back during. But there was a lot of stuff
yeah,
that was going on before. It's kind of like the point of maybe being inside the chrysalis now, the cocoon, and waiting for that new
yeah.
emergence. So I'm just kind of a little bit looking over the shoulder and waiting to see what's next in all of this. However, we got to get back to sex. That's what we said we were
Oh
going to
yeah,
talk
back to
about.
I know. I'm
I
just like, yeah,
do
you're right.
sex.
I agree. That's what it is. It's the new awakening. It's the chrysalis. I'm there. I'm so there with you in this way. And I don't know how the spirit. It's interesting how the spirit does. Oh, besides our wearing masks, the fact that we're so distant. I mean, I want to hug people. I'm a hugger. We have LA's. We're going backwards, so we're reblocking down a whole bunch of areas where
Yeah,
I
we're
I
kind of
don't
like,
know why.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's
I
just
know.
like
It's
that
crazy.
physical touch of it is missing. Maybe that's adding to my
I'm
personal
just used
powder
to
keg.
people being
Yeah,
around me. People, you
me,
know, I don't have to hug them, but I'm used to the crowd, the energy, the life, you know. Excuse me.
yeah,
I'm used to all that. And the city is used to that. And the city, all of our cities have an energy that they're used to being fed on, you
right.
know, and we have to cater to that because that's where we live. And the spirit of place will know how to negotiate with Mother Earth, Father Sky, all of that to help us throughout this. And who knows, maybe it is through demon sex. No. Uh,
Go
well,
demons.
you know, think of the old days. All the witches went out to the fields and they procreated in the fields, feed the fields with that sexual energy, right?
Yeah,
Because they
it's
wanted the
using the
fields
energy.
to
Yes.
be fields to be fertile. I'm not telling everybody to go out and, you know, jump on the ground and have sex, but people did that, right? There was energy, I guess, of hugs. There was energy of love. There was energy, and now there's energy of fights and, you know, fears and, you know, political
Yeah.
unrest that had been brewing and racial unrest as well as gender unrest. I mean, all of these
Yeah.
things that are bubbling up. Uh,
That that's what I'm feeling. And again, it's affecting our realm. It's affecting all the other realms. It's affecting, to me, again, I just keep going with the powder keg. Yeah. And so much of it, I do believe it's going to end up better. I do, but it's bringing out the worst. It's bringing out the best energetically with humans
stirring the
and
pot.
everything.
It's basically the spirits of places
But
are stirring the pot, getting all the
yeah,
crap
we're
in the
stirring the
world,
pot. We're stirring the
getting the
pot.
hell
And
out.
I,
So, you
yeah,
know.
and I think we just needed a slug in the face or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, New Orleans, I think, needed a checks and balance, and I'm sure the rest of the world did too.
I
But
think it did.
over the past year, I've been sitting back waiting for this, going, okay, something big is brewing. I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that right now, if we go on like we're going on, New Orleans is going to cave in with the amount of people that are here. With the fact that there's not a rest stop, that there's, so many people constantly. I'm like, the French Quarter is going to cave in. There's not a weekend without a festival. There's not a weekend without chaos. There's not a weekend without, I was like, I said, this cannot go on. I said, I don't know how one would stop or slow this. I mean, I knew something was coming. I would expect something big, because that would be the only thing that could have changed everything. Now, I don't like the way it's changed. I don't like the way it's been manipulated by certain people who want to make profit on this. I don't like the fear that's out there, because fear isn't helping anyone. I am not afraid of COVID. I'm 99.75% sure I've already had it when I was in England, and everyone else, a lot of people that were around me had the positive test for antibodies, but that was in November before anybody knew how, this
but it was, yeah.
And I know everybody's not very socially correct to say this, but it was like a really bad flu.
For you, for what you're experiencing. And a lot of people it is. Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm just, I'm certainly not afraid. But again, the fear comes of the great collective, what's happening to the great collective, because of all the individual experiences
we need to still love, and we need to not lock ourselves in the house. We need to be careful and socially responsible. You can be careful without being fearful. You can be intelligent about your choices without hiding,
Yep.
I'm
going to a live.
Maybe other people are happy it'll be locked down. Maybe they're just having sex with their demon lover, and that's all that's going on.
That's right. They're just going and having
a marathon, nonstop orgasm all of this time.
And then they'll be happier. So nothing else. Attachments, whatever. I'm doing
obsessing with anything, whether it's a demon lover or a lover, really. Obsessing without a balance in one's life can always cause an issue, right?
Yeah, so balance always does.
A grain of salt, everything with a modem of yourself and control in it, like set your boundaries, have your say. If you don't want to have sex with anyone but your partner, then don't. I don't think that the other thing is safe sex, but it's definitely out there. And if something happens once or twice, it's not going to hurt you more spiritually or physically.
Right.
Don't be obsessed with any of this. Don't send it to other people. We don't want to procreate a demon race. We don't need to procreate.
We don't. You don't. You're not damned. You're not evil. You haven't.
Right.
You're not going to hell. You're
not going to go blind.
You're not going to have a demon baby, really. You're not going to get some weird sexual disease.
You're not going to have an actual pregnancy. I forgot what she called it. It wasn't a topless pregnancy. A certain molar pregnancy, which was a very weird word I hadn't really heard. She thinks
pregnancy in your teeth?
No. No, it's kind of like a blob of nothingness tumor. And she said that like fibroids were this too, which they're not.
Oh my God. No, they're not. But what happened to science? Here's two spiritual women going, what happened to science?
She's a doctor, which is the weird thing. So that's what
take away her license.
But, you must be careful with your physical partners as well as with your visible partners if you need to have invisible partners. But yes, I mean, it can happen. I don't think you always cultivate the same one that comes all the time. I never had a recurring that I know of demon lover or somebody trying to get in. It was a whole bunch of different ones, say, but of course they're not physical, so people can change. They can change their look, so to speak.
Yes.
I don't. It's not something that I let in as an adult, but I guess I was a young adult when that happened a lot. And once in a while they'll slip in. It's like, darn, where'd you come from?
So what advice do you give to people in a simple overview? Because mine's really, it's about taking control and boundaries. Whether, yes, there's all sorts of magical workings you could do, but how do you work with people? Again, if they're having these experiences and they don't want these experiences or to look at these experiences.
Just say no. Yeah, you have to learn how to set your boundaries. You have to learn not to fear to speak your mind. You know,
Yeah.
like, what did you say when this happened? Nothing. No. What would you say if I walked into your room and hit your head? You know, no, you must take control of your life. You also must know that you are in your dimension. You have rights in your dimension. You have to take control of them. I say that I believe in spirits' rights, that you should be cordial and don't bring out the big guns unless you have to, but you should also set your tone and set boundaries. And yeah, just talk like you would to anyone else. If someone's waking up in the middle of the night, night after night, ask them, what do you want? Come back at noon when I get up. You make new negotiations, and you might have to reset those boundaries so that it's understood in a different way. But set boundaries with your words. Do it with visualizations too, so it's understood. And just like you have to with a bad roommate, set your boundaries more than once, or a bad lover, physical or otherwise, you have to set your boundaries, right? You have to have your safe word.
Exactly. What's my safe word? Your demon safe word. No, I agree 100%. And I do believe this is our realm. This is my physical realm. I'm in charge here. When I go visit your realm, I'm going to have the respect there and whatever, but people just give it up. They don't know. That's why it's good we're talking about it.
Ghosts can be assholes too. Yes, they can. They can be funny, they can be trickery, they can be sexy, they can be manipulative, they can be everything that we are. And we are all of those things.
We are all those things. And I also still think, again, not that this is a half off subject, that a lot of things that people think are demons are just cranky ghosts.
I say a lot. Oh, yeah.
I think demons you kind of know.
A lot of time. Children set off this fear to keep you away from them because they're afraid. So a lot of people, I had that little fight with Zach from Ghost. It's like, not all children are demons. Children ghosts can be children ghosts, darn it. Some could be. Some cats could be too. I mean, whatever. But you would definitely, sometimes people can change their look. And yes, some can hide behind a child, but not always. But I have found a lot of what people would think was dark, what I always thought of was like a stay away from here, where's a scared child,
Yeah.
Or sometimes a fairy that wants their privacy. There's a lot of different things.
A lot of different things out there. And that's funny about Zach, because it's a child's voice. It's a demon. No. We both work with him enough to know he's goofy on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's all that he's had experience with. And he said that's what people come to him. But sometimes it is just a child. And I have a lot of children's spirits from an orphanage that I have some pieces from an hospital I have some pieces from, so I have children's spirits.
You have a lot in your museum, I remember.
Yeah, in there.
Yeah.
Somebody who is Zach. He's from Ghost Adventures. He's the guy. He's the head guy in Ghost Adventures on Travel Channel. Anyway, yes. So we have all kinds of ghosts that are amongst us, and only a small portion of them seem to want to have sex with us. But they'll let themselves know. They usually know what they're doing, just so that goes out there. They're usually relatively well endowed, by the way, as well. From what I can tell, even the ones I turn away, it's like, okay, interesting.
No, that's what I hear, that it's really, again, that it's pleasurable in a whole different way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, as I said, it's something that was way young, which made me try to go research more and understand, like, why, what, how,
Well, see, this is why it led you into who you are and what you know and what you do.
Almost immediately and naturally, I start setting the boundaries. Yes, no, why, who, I start doing that, just naturally. I wasn't going to necessarily be pushed around.
Right.
Go stick, LOL, someone's laughing. Like I said, they're not.
I know, I wish I could have read all these.
They form themselves any way they want, and they know what they got to do, I guess, Now, if some are angels and some are demons and some are just ghosts of friends that passed on the other side, it all depends. But the concept of the incubus and the succubus are something that is going out there and collecting our vital seeds and reusing them for their nefarious purposes is something that's been warned about. But let's think about this in a much more political way. Now I heard all this stuff and read a lot about it from the Catholic Church. Marry that with the idea of what we were talking about. Somebody may be sending you some kind of entity. And then add in all the stuff that's being exposed by the Catholic Church right now. All of the bad sexual acts, the non-procreative release of seed. Maybe it was them to begin with that are causing all this.
It could be. Right. Yeah, no.
A lot of, because they keep saying, well, we don't know if it could be rape if there was no penetration, but there was ejaculation, release of seed that was unused, that is out there spawning this and then exponentially causing issues. So, when I went to talk about certain things like that to the Catholic Church at my young age, the whole thing would have been, denial and judgment as opposed to, or maybe, who knows, it had something to do with, maybe it was them to begin with. And the hunchback midget coming out of 8th grade, it was all her fault.
Wow.
And it really was. Her name was Sister Kathleen.
It was her fault. Her damn fault.
It was. She said, I had dreams that weren't natural, but I did not tell her what my dreams were. So how did she know?
And maybe they were natural. Well, who's to say what natural?
Maybe she sent them. I don't know. Maybe it was her. Maybe it all spiraled back around. So anyway, there is a lot of things out there, and it's about time for us to end. There was, talk in religions that tell you about not doing these kinds of things, but yet they occur. And there's case histories in archives that you can see of nuns and priests having demon lovers sometimes for generations. And I found that out because of these things, going and looking up archives. And most of the stuff that I found was records from the Catholic.
Wow. It's those Catholics, I tell you.
The Pope that had a same lover for like 20 years, same demon lover. I mean, they didn't call it demon lover, but spirit lover. I don't know, whatever they call it.
Spirit lover, Holy Spirit.
Better than abusing children, I guess,
Exactly. Much better than abusing children. And but again, I love that we're talking about it. I love you wanted to talk about, besides all the crazy political stuff that's happening. Again, it is something that needs to be not stuck in the shadows. If somebody's experienced it, good, bad, or otherwise, I don't want them to have to hide in their room and think that they've gone crazy.
You could always say no. You're not going to be burning in hell because it happened. You make your own decisions in your life. But, most of the time you're better off finding a partner to share sex with that's, in the flesh, It's usually better.
They can take you to dinner at least.
So you said you had a YouTube show about this?
Oh yeah, no, it's a movie called Ghostly Lovers, and it was done by Travel Channel, and it was Barry Taft talked on it. I talked on it. Jack Rourke spoke on it. I forget who else, and they did reenactments. To my knowledge, Travel Channel played it once. Somebody was able to find it on YouTube, actually. They did. It's called Ghostly Lovers. It was a Travel Channel movie. Okay. But I've looked and looked for several years, and they buried it. They buried it, I think.
And I sell it to Vice.
Maybe they should sell it to Vice. And I did
off in 1 minute. So we got another.
Okay, all right. So thank you for having me on, Mary. I just did one of my witching hours on it with Monsieur Pope because I did his French show, Crack Crack, all about paranormal sex. But we'll talk later. Let's do it again. I love you so much.
I'm going to be on your show soon, so I've already got one
show
with
Yes.
I have Voodoo classes, and just like you, I have new virtual seances that I'm doing on Zoom. And what do you got coming up?
I've got virtual seances too. I've got witching hour. I'm going to be at Virginia City this weekend. There's still tickets. People come out. We'll be safe. We'll be careful. Ghosts are wearing masks. And again, I love you so much, you guys. Bloody Mary rocks. Get to love New Orleans.
Patti, and we'll talk soon. Bye from New Orleans, and hello.
Bye from Hollywood.
BloodyMaryNewOrleans.com and PattiNegri.com.
.com. Bye.
See you later.
Bye. That was fun.